Welcome to Upside DIY. So I'm going to review some of the tools that I used uh, and made and processed. I also have like graph paper, and so here's a little bit of graphing paper just to build up. Basically, just I got to get used to always, putting, false teeth in and out, and but I guess that's how it is. Besides that, there's dental implants and things, which I did prep up for. It's just not easy, you know, uh, installing permanent implants. You need someone else to do it for you and things like that. So, but it's been around for a while for people missing teeth and things. They'll drill a small hole inside of the gum and the jawbone, or even inside of a cavity, prep the whole the the screw hole, and then insert a screw it, tighten it in, and then glue on a crown. That's pretty much you need someone else to do that for. So, uh, dental items, dental guards, and things like that. I tried to do it on my own with like some bubble gum and some silicone and wax and things. I ended up getting some dental guards. So these are some of the items. So I'm narrowing basically that I kind of want to use is making a dental guard mold. So I use a dental guard, made a plastic plate underneath, and then I use like clear plastic. It doesn't have to be, but I just kind of wash and rinse this off, kind of letting that dry. But I wrapped it in plastic, had silicone and some candle wax, some grated candle wax, stuff like that, to basically add a filler so the silicone could bond a little bit better. And so kind of made this, and then I casted it and made a mold, or I made a mold of pretty much my upper teeth, and then I casted it and made pretty much another mold, a casting mold, and then now I added silicone. So that's pretty much a pretty good um, result, I think, compared to all types of other stuff that I was doing on this side, was planning on doing, which was getting crowns. Even these paper clips are a little too large to actually, drill a hole inside of the tooth, things like that. It was an interesting, and even this jig and things like that. It was an interesting idea and things, uh, but I don't think it's going to really work as good. It can work a little bit if I, epoxied and glue things together and things like that, and coated things with a good water resistant and corrosive. I've also got little plastic pieces and things like that where I was making my own dental guards, and filling those things in with uh, glues or epoxies, or just. But these paper clips can be useful, if I could basically, line up a row of teeth, and then perhaps glue the paper clip in a way and bend it. I can try that eventually. Um, but it's got to be a real, it's got to be on a graphing paper. It's got to be accessible, things like that. And then just lining up on the inner side. I think that's how I would use these paper clips and crowns. And also, it's going to be really tough without, a stage where I'm fitting these crowns, using the mold, basically. So I just want to update that part just because it just turns out it's not as convenient or as practical as just using epoxies. The only thing wrong with this is I didn't like separate the teeth. Like I could have used the small spatula and made teeth lines and things like that. So probably on the next time I do this and also have the epoxy kind of ready. I think kind of touch it, it feels kind of soft and waxy and stuff. Doesn't feel too bad. I put some moisturizer or lotion as a releasing agent, stuff like that. Eventually, I'm going to be. I just wanted to kind of work with this so that I could remove the mold and things like that and see what's going on. But rather getting all this stuff, you just need you know a really good tube of silicone, um, a spatula, and things like that. A few items, and that this way is going to be more faster than working with crowns and wires and things like that and benders and um, and I also can embed pretty much the you know I would rather embed the paper clips inside of that instead of working with all this stuff and it not working. The only thing now is getting a really good water resistant epoxy and things like that would really work out pretty nicely. I could, so these paper clips aren't, finished yet, but these crowns, I mean, they're practically, it's really hard to say, but they're really like portable and things. I could really pretty much test out different, you know, uses of those. So, but just working on different stages and even bending the paper clip at such a um, you know bulky bundle, it's not as expected, but it's still pretty useful, I think, in the long run to pretty much these paper clips compared to, so I could just sort out a few things and put things so that I could reference them eventually. So these, and even these like crowns aren't, as I mentioned, like I'm you know it, I mean they were you know an item that I purchased, but I might not even you know I might not use them for real um, for the finish. I could use them for other things, but it's basically something eventually. I could use them for I was as just certain like other molds. Basically, I could fill these with epoxy and then just put a little bit of a stick or paper clip inside of them and then press them into things that I could or just press them into something like this bubble gum, pull them out, and then I could cast. I just have to be really detailed. I might even have to use a microscope, and I also have to prep these up. They're not totally lost or anything, and then uh, you know, I could make pretty much castings basically out of just this kit. So I think I'm going to try to do that eventually. The the first and last things, these paper clips were pretty useful, I think, for a range of uh, just kind of gluing. But I also want to try to make something useful. So I'll just have to bend these bubble gum, the crowns, paper clips. I could also paper clip, and I could start basically identifying which teeth are which. Pretty much a kit or tray of these things, these crowns, false crowns, and things, and with just a basic mold or like a silicone. So I got tubes of silicone and things, or you can use clay, you can use cement, you can use all types of or something like that to make a decent mold, and then basically have small teeth connected to some type of stick, probably a Q-tip. Time, figuring out how to make the molds and things like that. So I gotta reorganize and basically have these small dental crowns, basically individually, just one by one. So I got some big molars, some medium size ones, and then some small ones, and even lining, or even there might be like several different sizes and things, but basically have a tray kind of sorted out. And even these dental guards can be useful in lining up some of these false crowns, I would say. These, and then going from there is just basically uh, gluing, embedding, support like a paper clip, wire clip, this and that, but just getting the right dimensions is what I'm using these plastic microwavable trays for, things like that. But yeah, I'm gonna have to really pay attention to how these line up. There's like a channel in the teeth, and mainly that channel needs to be like a straight line and things like that. Maybe a higher. So they made these molds or these false teeth pretty nicely, pretty realistic. At least, I mean, you can't really, um, you know, they they're pretty much real life size tooth size and things like that. So that's a good that might not even factor in the right product. So there's just like any random assortment of items, there are different sizes and stuff. So I guess I gotta sort most of them out. The really small stuff, at least I'll have a good uh, idea. A lot of these on this side is actually really small stuff. So eventually, with some of the Q-tips and just the process that I'm gonna use to sort, kind of get these to work and stuff, it's gonna all, make sense eventually. I'll know where to, you know, to basically start from. And so yeah, for some reason these they did a bunch of research, or they knew a lot of stuff about the sizes of teeth, that kind of makes this kit a pretty useful um, reference tool. I would say it's practically like profitable, to get into dental repair, the cost, and just even to basically, deal with this situation. Um, so there were 3 different sizes, and basically just different shapes. I'm not too sure. There might be 3 different shapes of teeth and 3 different sizes. So this, even though I have to do a little bit more tests,